continue our study of weathering, and we're going to introduce this idea of erosion being a really important process before compaction and cementation can occur. This is a beautiful satellite image that you can see where the water has some sediment that's depositing into it and then eventually settling down to the bottom of this body of water. This is off the coast of the United States, and you can see here the Gulf of Mexico. There's all these sediments that are just in the water there that are going to eventually deposit into the floor. Here's another image that you can see from, I think this is in Texas. I think this is Galveston, Texas, which is a coastal community off the coast of where Houston is. And this just says, weathering and erosion slowly chisel and polish and buff the Earth's rock over just a huge period of time. And I like the language here, evolving works of art. And then all of those sediments are washed into the sea. This is a cross section that you can see where sediment gets carried into lakes and oceans and is deposited in layers and then buried and then compacted, just like our lifesavers in Jolly Rancher sediments. We tried to compact them with our jar. We had our lid and then we put the jar on top, and that compaction that we were doing, that was a model for just the layers and layers of sediments above. So your bottom layer of sediment gets compacted just from the weight of all the sediments that are on top of it. There's not heat involved or anything like that. It's just this intense pressure. And one of the things that we can see from the sim is we saw this happening in the sim, and I'm going to show this to you. I don't think you'll be able to hear anything, but I'm going to post that video because I don't think that you can hear it. But I just wanted to let you know that the vocabulary words that are really important for us to understand for this unit: weathering, which you guys totally have. It's rock broken into smaller pieces by natural processes. It includes forces such as moving water, wind, plant roots, ice, and chemicals. Weathering occurs over a long period of time. We'll spend some time talking today about all the different types of weathering that can occur. And then sediment, which is the small pieces of rock and other earth materials such as mud or sand. And I know that you guys understand these two vocabulary words very well based on the things that you were able to tell me on Friday. So we'll move on to just make sure that we understand that weathering is important. Erosion and deposition are the next steps. Before they can be deposited, there has to be this process of moving or transporting these pieces of rock, those sediments. And then the next part is the deposition. It has to be deposited somewhere. Oftentimes it's deposited by water in a body of water. And that's where you can get those beautiful layers like we see in the Grand Canyon. At the very beginning of this unit, we took a look at this picture, and I asked you guys to tell me about what you thought was happening here. You were able to make an argument that explained everything that happened based on what you understood. And you just had a tiny, tiny bit of evidence, but you were able to make all of these incredible stories. The same thing is true when we look at a place like the Grand Canyon. There's actually quite a lot of evidence of what occurred to make this place occur. And so I want you to connect the thinking that you did with the footprint mystery to geology. And remember that geologists work in the same ways. They make observations, they gather evidence, they try to come up with the strongest explanations for how rock formations or landforms came to be on the Earth's surface. So during today's investigation, you'll be collecting evidence and information about how sediments formed, and then also how these rocks could have gotten to the bottom of the Grand Canyon. For this activity, you're going to get a sheet that has these 9 statements. I'd like you to read each statement and decide if you think it supports the claim or does not support the claim. So at the top of your paper, you'll see a claim. It says, most rocks are too hard to break down, and they don't change what they look like much. And so the first thing is, do you agree with this claim? Do you disagree with this claim? And then read through the directions to understand what to do. The 9 pieces of the little cards. You can get a paper that has a couple of those on them, share them, make sure that everybody has 9 cards that are all different. And then you're going to tape the statements that support the claim into the column on the left and the ones that do not support the claim on the column on the right.